Welcome to my channel, Worldwise. I don't think people understand just how quickly disaster can strike, even in the safest of places. March 27, 1977. Los Rodeos Airport, Tenerife. A day that would become infamous in aviation history. A thick, blinding fog covers the runway, swallowing the airport in a dense, ghostly shroud. Visibility drops to almost nothing, making every movement on the tarmac a leap of faith. Two Boeing 747s, KLM Flight 4805 and Pan Am Flight 1736, find themselves on a collision course, neither meant to be here. Both planes had been diverted to Tenerife after a terrorist incident at their original destination, Gran Canaria. Inside the KLM cockpit, Captain Jacob Van Zanten, a respected veteran, grows impatient, eager to depart. The delays have been long and his crew is anxious to get back on schedule. He trusts his experience and instruments, unaware of the danger hidden in the mist. The radio crackles with instructions, but the words are muffled by static and confusion. Engines roar, ready for takeoff. The massive jet lurches forward, its power barely contained. Down the runway, Pan Am's crew, Captain Victor Grubbs and First Officer Robert Bragg, struggled to find their exit in the fog, confused by unclear instructions. Every taxiway looks the same in the haze. They miss their turn, forced to continue down the active runway. The tension in the cockpit rises as they try to make sense of their surroundings. Suddenly, through the haze, blinding landing lights appear. KLM is accelerating straight toward them. The realization hits in a split second. Captain Grubbs shouts, slamming the throttles, desperately trying to swerve off the runway. Every instinct screams for survival. In the KLM cockpit, Van Zanten yanks the controls, trying to leap over the Pan Am jet, but it's too late. The impossible is now inevitable. The two giants carrying hundreds are seconds from disaster. The fate of 583 souls hangs in the balance. In the fog, time stretches, then shatters. The world holds its breath. Metal meets metal in a fiery, catastrophic embrace. The impact is instant and devastating. The deadliest aviation disaster in history is set in motion, forever changing the way the world views air safety. The day began with excitement for both flights, Pan Am from Los Angeles, KLM from Amsterdam, each filled with vacationers bound for Gran Canaria. On board, passengers chatted, unaware of the fate awaiting them. But a bomb exploded at Gran Canaria Airport, forcing authorities to close it and divert all flights to the smaller Los Rodeos Airport on Tenerife. Neither crew was familiar with this cramped, fog-prone airfield. The sudden diversion packed Los Rodeos with jumbo jets it was never designed to handle. Over 600 people's plans changed in an instant. The Pan Am and KLM crews received the news they would not be landing in paradise. Instead, they were rerouted to a place of confusion and chaos. This single act of terror set off a chain reaction. Two massive jets from different continents were now trapped together on a tiny island runway. Destiny was quietly, inexorably closing in. Los Rodeos was a modest regional airport designed for a handful of daily flights, not the sudden influx of massive jets it faced that day. With only a single runway, it was never meant for this kind of overwhelming traffic. When Gran Canaria closed unexpectedly, dozens of diverted planes descended on Los Rodeos, clogging every available space on the ground. The airport quickly became a maze of parked aircraft with little room to maneuver. The main taxiway was blocked by the overflow, so the enormous 747s had no choice but to use the runway itself for taxiing and takeoff, sharing the narrow strip with other aircraft. Then, as if things weren't difficult enough, a thick blanket of fog rolled in, reducing visibility to near zero, and making it almost impossible to see more than a few meters ahead. Air traffic controllers, unable to see the planes outside their windows, had to rely entirely on radio communication and their memory of where each aircraft was parked or moving. There was no ground radar at Los Rodeos. Controllers were essentially working blind, trying to keep track of dozens of planes by voice alone. The KLM and Pan Am 747s, the largest aircraft at the airport, were forced to park awkwardly on the apron, unable to use the normal taxiways due to the congestion. When it was finally time to depart, both jets had to back taxi down the active runway, moving slowly and carefully through the fog, with little margin for error. The situation on the ground was tense, confusing, and increasingly dangerous. Pilots and ground staff alike felt the pressure mounting with every passing minute. Controllers juggled too many planes with too little information, struggling to maintain order as the chaos grew. Flight crews unfamiliar with the airport and its procedures struggled to follow instructions in the thick fog, relying on checklists and instinct. Every element of chaos, crowded ramps, poor visibility, and miscommunication pushed the two massive jets closer together, setting the stage for disaster. Disaster was now only a series of small mistakes away, as tension and confusion reached their peak at Los Rodeos. Pressure mounted for the KLM crew. If they didn't leave soon, strict Dutch regulations would force them to stay overnight. Captain Van Zanten decided to refuel in Tenerife, adding delay and thousands of gallons of fuel. The Pan Am crew, ready to go, was blocked by the KLM jet's refueling. Frustration grew as minutes ticked by. When Gran Canaria finally reopened, KLM was cleared to taxi first, followed by Pan Am. Both had to use the runway to reach takeoff position. Pan Am was told to exit at taxiway C3, but in the fog, the crew missed the sharp turn, believing the next exit was safer. They continued down the runway, still in KLM's path. Each small error, delays, confusion, missed turns, became another link in the chain. The stage was set for tragedy. In the fog, everything depended on clear radio communication. The frequency was crowded, accents thick, and procedures unclear. KLM's first officer requested ATC clearance, a flight plan, not takeoff permission. The controller gave the clearance but not explicit takeoff approval. Captain Van Zanten, believing he was cleared, announced, "We're going," and pushed the throttles forward. The first officer radioed, "We are now at takeoff," a non-standard phrase. At the same moment, Pan Am's crew urgently radioed, "We're still taxiing down the runway." The transmissions overlapped, creating a burst of static. KLM only heard the controller's "okay," missing the Pan Am warning. They interpreted it as confirmation. The KLM 747 began its takeoff roll directly toward the unseen Pan Am jet. In seconds, fate would be sealed. The KLM 747 thundered down the runway, engines screaming, blind in the fog. In the Pan Am cockpit, panic erupted as landing lights appeared. KLM was coming straight at them. "Get off, get off, get off!" Captain Grubb shouted, trying to swerve onto the grass. At the last second, Van Zanten pulled back, trying to leap over the Pan Am jet. The KLM's tail scraped the runway, sparks flying. The plane lifted, but not enough. Its landing gear and engines tore through the Pan Am's fuselage, igniting a fireball. The KLM jet briefly became airborne, then crashed and exploded. All 248 aboard KLM perished instantly. The Pan Am jet was ripped open, engulfed in flames. The runway became a scene of unimaginable destruction. In less than a minute, 583 lives were lost or forever changed. Amid the inferno, there were survivors. 61 from Pan Am, including the cockpit crew and heroic flight attendants. Their courage and quick thinking saved lives, even as chaos and flames raged around them. In the aftermath, these survivors became living testaments to both the horror and the hope that emerged from the disaster. The scale of loss was staggering: 583 dead, making it the worst aviation disaster in history. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the world, leaving families and communities devastated, and the aviation industry reeling from the enormity of the catastrophe. Investigators from 3 countries pieced together the tragedy, working tirelessly to uncover every detail. Their mission was not just to find blame, but to understand how so many things could go so terribly wrong. The cause, KLM's premature takeoff, miscommunication, and a chain of small errors, was a chilling reminder of how fragile safety can be when procedures break down. The fog, lack of ground radar, and ambiguous radio phrases all played a role. Visibility was nearly zero, and technology that could have prevented disaster simply wasn't there. The phrase, "We are now at takeoff," was non-standard. The controller's "okay" was dangerously vague. In the confusion, critical warnings were missed and disaster became inevitable. The disaster forced sweeping changes in aviation. The world demanded answers and action to ensure such a tragedy would never happen again. Air traffic control language was standardized worldwide. No more ambiguity. Clear, precise communication became the new law of the skies. Crew resource management training became mandatory, empowering all crew to challenge unsafe decisions. Hierarchies were flattened, and every voice in the cockpit gained the power to prevent disaster. The lessons of Tenerife reshaped aviation safety, setting new standards that are still saving lives today. Out of unimaginable loss, the industry forged new rules to prevent such tragedy. Every regulation written was a promise to those lost that their deaths would not be in vain. The sky became safer, but the memory of Tenerife endures. Each flight honors the lessons learned from that day. The cost was terrible, but the legacy is lives saved for generations to come. Tenerife's lessons are written in every safe landing, a tribute to those who paid the ultimate price. My next video is up now. Start watching.